We have the correct number of attendees, right?
Yes, we do. We have a quorum. But we will do a roll call.
Yes.
Would you like me to read the opening statement?
What did you do about the roll call?
We have to do that after we do their opening statement.
No, roll call comes first on the schedule, followed by opening statement. Anyway, let's go on. Do the
Call the roll, Carrie.
Okay. Ms. Capizoli, Mr. Cohen,
Here.
Mr. McGowen,
Here.
Mr. Oakman,
Here.
Mr. Quinn,
Here.
Ms. Sachs, Mr. Texarney,
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Here.
Mr. Chow,
Here.
Mrs. Wilson,
Here.
Mrs. Gunning.
here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, this is a regular meeting of the planning board for 2021, and the opening statement is as follows. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given by prominently posting the 2021 resolution of the regularly scheduled meetings of the Planning Board of Princeton for February 2021 through January 2022. A copy was filed with the Clerk of Princeton on January 22nd, 2021. Legal notice on the adoption of said resolution was published in the January 25th, 2021 edition of the Princeton Packet. Notice of this meeting also has been posted to the municipal website, www.princetonnewjersey.gov/calendar. Pursuant to the Executive Order 107 and due to the state of emergency in New Jersey regarding COVID-19 coronavirus, notice that during the declared state of emergency, all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Planning Board will be held electronically via Zoom, and they were transferred to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times, and was filed with the Clerk of Princeton on April 8th, 2020, and again on January 6th, 2021. Please note, as with regular in-person meetings, members of the public will have an opportunity at a specific point in the proceedings to comment and ask questions. Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded. Those wishing to comment should orally raise their hands using the bottom of the button at the center of the bottom of the participant screen, or if participating by phone, by pressing *9. Oral comments will be taken in the order in which hands were raised. We ask with respect that members of the public please do your very best to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Inappropriate public comments containing obscenity, hate speech, relating to matters not before the board will be muted immediately. And with that, let's move on to the agenda. Tonight's agenda begins with findings of fact on Palmer Square management. And then the second item is trustees of Princeton University. The third item is Landwind Development Corporation, continued from 3/5/20. And the last one is a preliminary and final major subdivision and site plan with variances. All right. Who is going to start us off with Palmer Square management?
I can do that.
Great.
Yeah, this was approved back in April for a new building, mixed-use building at the corner of Witherspoon and Holefish, replacing the parking lot, 24,000 plus square feet, retail and commercial on the basement and first floor, apartments on the second floor, some of them I believe might be 2 stories, 8 apartments altogether, plus an outdoor courtyard. The parking for the residential units will be off-site in the Whole Fish Garage, for which a designated floor, but not particular spaces, will be provided. There were no variances or waivers that were necessary, just preliminary and final site plan approval, and the board approved it.
Madam Chair, I think Councilman Cohen has a question.
Yes,
Actually, it's not a question, but I wanted to move it, but with one very minor clarification, which is the resolution states that the design of the fence will be reviewed by the landscape subcommittee. I wanted to clarify that it would be the design of the fence and the gate that encloses the trash enclosure, because
David, are you on a particular page?
I'm not, I don't have.
Let me find that condition.
Okay. Yeah,
find it.
the fence and the gate were not shown in any design detail, so I think they both need to be looked at.
Okay,
But it says the fencing design, the fencing and trash enclosure gate,
Yeah,
they design.
I also see item I, it says the fencing design and landscape plan, including historic markers, shall be subject to review and approval by the
Right, that-
landscape subcommittee. Is that
Right,
the
that's,
item?
right, that's what I'm changing. So it's now going to be the fencing and trash enclosure gate design and landscape plan, et cetera. Okay?
correct. Yep.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, that was Louise?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any further comments, questions? All right, I think you need to call the roll on this.
Yes. Mr. Chow? Mr. Chow?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Oakman?
Yes.
Mr. Texarney?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gunning?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Okay, item B on the list of resolutions and findings of fact is the trustees of Princeton University. It's preliminary and final major site plan, and it's for Tiger facility and athletic operations on the East Campus. Those of you who remember this, remember that the review was called Tiger. So anyone have comments, questions, like to move this one?
I have, I do have a comment. In the section on conditions required, there's noise. And within that paragraph, I think it should read, you talk about a monitoring program. And you say the monitoring program, including when testing takes place. Should there be a monitoring
Yeah.
program?
I think that's good, Alvin. I'll change that from the to a.
Okay.
And David, I know you had something, and I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I saw your email just right as I was coming onto this.
It's okay. Yeah, this is, I actually want to have just a little bit of discussion with the board about this. In that same condition, it's 15I,
Mhm.
about the conditions under which the university would have to do remediation. Phil, I need to credit Phil Chow. He brought this up right after the meeting and said, you know, there are certain times of day when the ambient noise is over 40 decibels. And, you know, if we make the university try to fix that, not only is it unfair, but it's actually will be impossible. There's no way they're going to be, they can put a, you know, a solid lead enclosure around the whole Tiger facility and they won't be able to get the decibel level down. So I had suggested that we could just make a slight change to the wording there, that instead of saying, you know, what it says right now is if the noise level exceeds 40 decibels on some kind of, on a consistent basis, they'll have to remediate. And I was suggesting adding a clause saying if it exceeds 40 decibels at such times of day when the pre-existing condition was below 40 decibels, that would be the trigger requiring the remediation.
Okay, so you're at the sentence that says, if the sound levels generated by Tiger operations are determined to consistently exceed the 40 dBA level measured at nearby property line. So you want to put exceed the 40 dBA level at times, something like at times.
Yeah, here's the exact what I suggested.
Okay, and tell me exactly where you're putting it, David.
Yes, so if the sound level generated by Tiger operations are determined to consistently exceed the 40 decibel level measured at the nearby residential property lines during times of day when pre-construction baseline measurements showed sound levels consistently below 40 decibels. And then
Okay,
continue.
I'm sorry, during times of day, that's as far as I got.
Yeah, when pre-construction baseline measurements.
Hold on one second.
Mhm.
It's in his email
Okay.
to you.
Also getting it, David.
Yeah, it is in the email I sent.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah,
Is that it? Good, after baseline measurements?
showed sound levels consistently below 40 decibels,
Okay,
comma, and then it goes back to the original language.
okay.
May I suggest as a matter of procedure, we should probably bring Christopher DeGrazia over and see if that's agreeable to the university.
Certainly.
Thank you, Jim. It's a good thing I wasn't in my pajamas.
Aren't those your pajamas, Chris? I
Yes,
thought you
I'm
slept in
in a tie.
Those are lawyer pajamas.
I don't think I have a comment to that. It seems, you know, our expectation in reading that condition was that the level was attributed to Tiger. So if there were ambient noises above it, and we can test that by doing it with the Tiger systems on and off, we should be able to tell the difference. But I don't think this language actually, you know, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And Jim, I know you would work with the university because part of the idea was that we wouldn't get into the nitty gritty. You would work out a program with the university. You're
Yes, and the university and I have already reached a tentative agreement. There are a couple of nuances that I want to work out with them over
Okay.
how that monitoring program will take place. And it
And David-
will take place over a period of 2 years after they
Okay.
get a CO.
And David's language is consistent with that?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay,
Okay. Any further comments or?
Yeah, this is kind of awkward. Did Mr. Quinn vote for this? I thought it probably shouldn't be in the neighborhood.
No.
I thought that was for.
He
I
votes
voted
for
on
this.
Tiger. I didn't attend the Palmer Square application.
Right,
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
yeah, I don't have anything, Wanda.
Anyone else? All right. Would somebody like to frame a motion on this one? Yes?
I'm happy to move the resolution with the two changes, the one that Alvin suggested and the one that I suggested.
Okay, do you want to just say them again so we have them clearly on the record?
I'm going to say that.
Alvin changed the to a, I think. Was
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
Monitoring program.
A monitoring program will be.
Installed somehow. Okay, do you want to call the roll, Carrie?
Yes. Mr.
I think,
Chow,
I think you need a second.
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't have a second.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who was that? Who was that?
Mr. Oakman.
Al, oh,
Mr.
doesn't matter.
McGowan and Mr. Oakman both seconded.
I'm confused now.
Take a pick.
okay, thank you. Mr. Chow,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Oakman,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
yes,
Mr. Texarney,
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson.
Yes,
That's it. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
You too.
Yes, thanks, Christopher.
Thanks. All right, the third item on the agenda, which is the application. This is the Landwind Development Corporation continued from 3/5/20 preliminary and major subdivision and site plan with variances. And it's 725 and 823 Herrontown Road, Herrontown, 915 Mount Lucas Road. All right. Who would like to give us an overview of this first? Anyone?
If I could explain, this started way back when. Actually, we took jurisdiction back in February of 2019, and it was adjourned several times. I think the first hearing was in April. I think we've had 8 of them so far. And then things became quiescent for quite a while, as basically, Wanda, you indicated by the last hearing we had, which was after the pandemic started. They had to Landwind wants to continue. They had to they renoticed for today. Mr. Afran, and he could jump in, indicated that, and had started his, basically his case. I had put on at least one witness. I think it was on at least a second witness, and indicated that his witnesses were not available tonight. So we picked another date to continue, which was July 1st. But we wanted to open the hearing tonight. We don't have to take jurisdiction again because we already have, but open the hearing and then continue it to July 1 without any further testimony by anybody. And that's it.
And that's it. Okay. So that's where we stand on the hearings now. Maybe some would like to go over what we should expect to begin tonight.
Well, the idea is we're not going to do anything tonight because, as I indicated, Mr. Afran is in the middle of his case. He doesn't have his witnesses available to continue because they were not available.
Yeah,
So
Jerry, maybe I
Well,
should
Sure.
explain, Jerry. If I,
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Bruce.
yeah. Blaine Rothhauser was in the middle of his testimony. He's the biologist, if you recall. Well, it's been a year and a half. And he was in the middle of his testimony. He has quite a bit to go. There were 2 witnesses before him. We dealt with the geologist and we had the forester Ron Farr. Blaine is in the middle of his testimony. Blaine is on a nationwide trip on behalf of L'Oreal, inspecting 18 sites for various natural features on industrial plants. He literally is traveling tonight from a place called Streetsboro, Ohio, to a more well-known place, Montreal. And he's just not available. And the other witness's testimony in substantial part depends upon his. So we did put this request in and Jerry felt it was appropriate. So we're not prepared to put testimony on tonight because the witness we were in the middle of just isn't available at all. And he won't get into Montreal till about 8 o'clock or so, and he'd be driving 12 hours. So it would be just impossible for him to testify. So we're prepared to go forward on the new date, July 1st. I've checked with our witnesses. They are all available, barring anything unforeseen. And so the idea was we would not take jurisdiction, but just because it was noticed, I guess Jerry's feeling was the public needs to at least be told what we're doing. And so they
Right.
know when to come back.
Right, so we're reopening the hearing tonight, but just for that limited purpose.
Okay.
This is Louise. Do we need to take any action of any kind? Do we need to move to consider, or is it, or are we just,
Just need to take jurisdiction.
Well, we've already taken jurisdiction. It would be just to basically now having the hearing before us, and it's been reopened. We don't have to do anything on that.
Right.
Is we can move to adjourn to July 1. That's all we have to do.
All right. That sounds simple. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn to July 1? Don't
I
just,
will cheerfully move to adjourn to July 1. We're talking about adjourning this item, obviously, not, we have meetings between now and then with other items, but
I will second Ms. Wilson's motion to adjourn this application,
okay, very,
which
very succinctly put. Any other comments on that?
Madam Chair, it's Tom Letizia. Again, I think you should just make a clear announcement as to what the new date is so that any member of the public who might be out there hears the new date, because we do not plan to renotice for the July 1 date.
Okay, this meeting will resume on July 1. It will be in the normal time for planning board meetings at 7:30. And I believe it,
Although it's a second item on the agenda because we're continuing simplified living to July 1 also.
so,
And we're reopening that because there are additional variances that are necessary.
okay, so this will be the second item on the agenda for July 1.
Right.
And all of you who take notes on these things, please take note on this one. And
I think it's usually customary to say there will be no further notice.
Exactly. Right. Thank you, David.
Sure.
Thank you.
all right, then there will be no further notice and you have all been notified. So
Thank you.
anything else that you,
Should we entertain a motion to adjourn to that date?
there was a motion and a
Oh, there was?
second.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
We
sorry.
just haven't, all
Okay.
said aye or called the roll. I'm not sure which is appropriate in this.
I think just a voice vote is sufficient for.
Voice vote.
right, so all those in favor,
Aye.
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 opposed? All right. The motion has carried.
Would it be
Thank you all.
appropriate for me to move to adjourn? Anything else on the agenda?
Yes, it would be a good time. Let's just make sure that everybody feels that way.
There
I
are no
will
other.
second that motion to adjourn this meeting specifically.
Right. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it sounds to me like the meeting has been adjourned.
Thank you,
That
everyone.
was easy.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Y'all in a couple
Night,
of weeks.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Well, where?